Welcome to Midnight Menu Plus One. I'm Ray Canada.
And I'm Margot Moss. Midnight Menu Plus One is a food lifestyle show on the podcast network, itsneworleans.com. Brought to us tonight by Petite Pet Care. While you're at work or on vacation, you don't have to board your pet. He can stay in the comfort of his own home. For loving care when you're not there, Petite Pet Care. Find them at petitepetcare.com.
Each week on Midnight Menu Plus One, Margot and I invite a member of New Orleans restaurant and food community to join us. And we invite them to bring along their own guest, a plus one. We never know who their plus one's going to be. Sometimes it's a friend, a neighbor, a family member, a fellow restaurant colleague. Well, a special guest on Midnight Menu Plus One tonight is one of the biggest deals behind the scenes in the New Orleans restaurant community, Morgan Ford, community manager for Yelp. I'm really excited and looking forward to meeting Morgan. But before we do, let's catch up on this week's culinary adventures. Did you eat anything worth reporting, Margot?
Well, I did go to Petite Grocery.
Oh, I love the place. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fantastic, and I went with a girlfriend, and we shared some appetizers and an entree, and each had a drink, and it was lovely and really reasonable. I mean, it was incredible.
Wow.
In food, and so reasonable. And probably because we shared things, but I ate plenty enough. So that was a really nice night. But speaking of reasonable, I wanted to ask you about your blog post about eating cheap in the city.
Well, I found a new one today.
Yes?
Today at lunch, accidentally. We were in the World War II Museum with some good friends. Our friends Mark and Joanna from Florida are up, and we and their kids. And we went to American Sector, the John Besh restaurant at the museum. And, of course, like everybody thinks it's like the best museum restaurant in the world. It might be. It's so wonderful. But what was really wonderful was the price was like ridiculous. It was embarrassing, really, It was 75 cents for like these sliders, and they were basically like 3/4 size like barbecue sandwiches, with like the onion rings on top, and then the meat pies. So I got like 4 for like $3, and then the drink specials. I got a cocktail for like $3.50, and it was just fantastic. I think the whole table ate for like $50, maybe like 8 of us, for lunch. It was great.
That's amazing. Good for your wallet, not good for your belt.
No, not good for my belt because I've been pigging out since they got to town. But the thing is, I can't add it to my list. Right away I thought, I'm going to add it to that blog list. I'm going to make a revision, but I can't because, as you know, John Besh's affiliation with the restaurant is ending this week, and so it will probably change the menu. So I don't think they're going to be offering the 75-cent sliders anymore, but hopefully they'll find something comparable. But that was really great. So it's great when you can enjoy a meal and not get soaked. I also went to Mint this week too for the first time. Finally, I'm embarrassed it took me so long.
The Vietnamese restaurant on Ferret.
Exactly, the pho place in Ferret. Exactly, and everybody loves it and raves about it. But there's so many other good ones in the neighborhood, and my kids will never let us go anywhere else. But they're favorites. We love Magazine. We love a bunch of different ones. So they wouldn't let us go to Mint. But Kathy and I finally snuck away and went to Mint, and it was fantastic. I think just as good as the best of the others in the neighborhood. So really like that a lot.
Well, I think it's about time to get to our special guest tonight. Tonight, we are very excited to have Morgan Ford, the community manager of Yelp. And we would like to know, start out by asking... Welcome, sorry.
Thank you.
Welcome. I am computer illiterate, so some of my questions may be a little, crazy. So please...
That's totally fine.
Understand. So can you please tell us what being a community manager means?
So and I am the community manager of Yelp here in town, and it is a site and mobile app that connects people with great local businesses here. So my job here in town is to grow the Yelp community in New Orleans, both on and off the site. I do that on the site by, encouraging users, asking them about the places they've eaten at or the stores they visited. We also have a newsletter called the Weekly Yelp where we curate different topics. Like last week was, Yelp Screams for Ice Cream, and we picked out our favorite ice cream places around town based on user reviews. And I also do that off the site through marketing sponsorships with, local partnerships, festivals. We also host Yelp community events where anybody with a Yelp profile can come out to. So I really, get in with New Orleans and figure out ways to get the Yelp community involved as well.
Well, that's interesting. So we think of it as sort of like very automated. I mean, I guess I thought of it as something very automated, but actually there's a real human element in it. That's some subjectivity. Like when you do the newsletter, you're sort of choosing of all the things that are posted. You're saying, hey, we'd like to focus on ice cream. Now we're going to choose these things.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's interesting.
So it's kind of more of a curating. Like I don't necessarily like to say I write it when I'm seeing that Megan M really likes Creole Creamery and they have a 6-scoop special where you can order 6 different ones, so you don't have to choose just one. So I take little bits of their review and put it in the newsletter, and then I like to promote it on Twitter and Facebook and ask people what's your favorite ice cream shops, and come check them out on Yelp too. So I know Yelp has kind of a corporate brand feel to a lot of people, but I want to make it more of a community brand.
So my question for you next is, I don't know much about it. So if let's say I go somewhere and I type in a review, does it come up right away, or do I have to become an account member?
You do have to open an account, and it's free to anyone. We would prefer if you posted a picture of yourself so that you can stand behind your reviews, but again, that's your choice. And let's say you went to Monkey Hill right here. You have an account. You can go on your phone and write up a review right while you're sitting there. If you really enjoyed your experience, or if you had some other critique to say about it, you can write a review right there, or you can write it on the site.
So if I write something, does it automatically go onto?
It goes right up there.
On my account? So
on your
everyone
account
can
and
see
worldwide. So like if someone from Denmark wants to go on the New Orleans, Yelp part, types in like bars in New Orleans and Monkey Hill pops up, your review is going to pop up too.
How will mine pop up rather than the million other people how does that
So there
work?
is another thing that happens. We do have a recommendation software that is involved. We recommend about 75% of our reviews. So let's say you're a new user and you don't have a picture on there. You make a silly name like I'm Monkey M or something like that. The chances Monkey M. The chances of your review being recommended over other reviews might not be as high, because basically that Yelp community, think about the people you trust. Like I'm looking for a plumber. You're going to ask, family members, your best friends. You're not necessarily going to ask that stranger down the street that you've never seen their face ever. So basically on Yelp, we do want to create that sort of community. So the more you're active on Yelp, the more likely a review from you is going to be recommended. So, but you might not be.
And by recommended, just means it sort of comes to the top of the stack, or it's highlighted more and so forth. You can still read all the reviews, but the recommended ones are kind of like highlighted more.
There is an area where the non-recommended reviews do go. We still keep that 25% on the site, but they're not necessarily in the top part of it.
Right.
So
okay. So it doesn't matter if, let's say, I had an amazing experience, or I had like a crappy meal, and the waiter spit in my food in front of me, and I write it.
I'd hope not.
So that does not, whether how you rate it or whatever, does that affect? Is it
the standings?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. So basically, if let's say you went on, that business page, the rankings can either be by date or by, like, if you have friends on the site, they might come up earlier and everything.
And I get to choose how it comes up?
You can put date, or like if you want to change it to date, even if you're looking for something specific. Like I heard that Crepe Nanu had mussels, and I want to read about their reviews about mussels. You can put in there, search mussels, and all the reviews referring to the mussels will come up.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So now, how'd you get this job?
So, last September, funny enough, I was in a different position, actually working with a group of restaurants doing their back-end work on their Yelp listings. So I was on the business side of their Yelp pages, keeping up, writing, responses to reviews with our managers at the restaurants. And
writing fake reviews on Yelp.
Never.
Chills.
Never. I was getting phone calls at 5 a.m. being like, I'd be like, what is this review on here? So actually my secret guest might have.
Oh, don't tell us yet.
I won't. Might have something on my Facebook wall and said, this looks like something that you'd fit really well with, and I interviewed with the girl who previously did that job, who's now my boss, and it just felt so natural. I love New Orleans. I love the businesses here. I love, working on different ideas, and I really missed the event side of some of the stuff that I'd done before, so I got the job. So.
Okay, so how many people that work for Yelp are assigned to, like, New Orleans, in the New Orleans metro area?
So
how many besides you, who else is there? Are there others?
There would be just one person. I have a regional lead in town that still does live here.
And what's the region?
And she manages some cities in Texas and a few other places, but we have community managers, regional leads. There's a lot of room to grow in the organization as itself. But I think we have 120 community managers worldwide in active cities and communities.
This is 120 cities to have community managers.
Yeah, so like you can
The whole
go.
country.
But you're all over the world. I mean,
Yeah.
so
That's
you
pretty
could have a
significant. New Orleans has
huge,
one, huh?
yeah.
Yeah.
Is that so? You could have a region that is not just a
Well,
city.
so
it's
the
like
community managers are just in the cities.
Right,
The
so Des
regional-
Moines doesn't have a community manager. Likely.
I don't know if Des Moines has a community
Bangor, Maine
manager
is not going to
yet.
have a community manager. If you only have 120 in the whole
like
world.
places like Cincinnati and
Right,
Chicago
okay.
actually has 2 for the burbs in the city. San Francisco has a few because that's actually where Yelp started 10 years ago. So we're celebrating our 10th anniversary. But different markets, the larger they are, the more they concentrate on that. And New Orleans is kind of a big little city here, so.
Yeah.
so you are local.
Yes, I'm from here. I didn't go to high school here, but I do live here in Mid-City in the middle of awesome, and I love it.
The middle of awesome.
Yeah.
But you went to high school in Idaho, didn't you?
I did.
Idaho's just like New Orleans, isn't it?
Totally. I mean, it's like, night and night.
How'd you end up in Idaho?
I ended up in Idaho with my mom, and actually still would come here for the summer. So, why would I do that? But got to do some fun internships at the aquarium when I was younger, and would come back, and then ended up going to Florida State, LSU, and kind of boomeranging back to New Orleans.
So do you feel that
Yeah, cheer
being
from
a local?
the studio audience. We have a
Whoop,
we have
whoop.
an FSU
Yeah,
alum
criminal. What up?
So do you feel having that local background and having family here helps you with being a point person in the community? And I mean, you feel connected to the community?
Absolutely. I would say the jobs I had before working at Yelp, and I always joke and say with my mom, my dad, and I's connections, everyone in the city by like 1.5 degrees.
Yeah.
So I love going to a meeting with a business owner and being like, oh, and I know your mom and sister's dog, So that really does help a lot of times. And it also, like, I feel like I can sympathize a lot more with some of the business owners too, and we can create kind of a more personal bond and kind of get that whole like corporate feel out of the way. So.
Have you found that restaurateurs, owners are, you empathize with their
Absolutely.
experiences, but have you found that they are harder to approach about Yelp than
Yes.
other?
I know if you think about chefs and business owners and retail shop owners that went from, just having a booth at a festival to having their own storefront on magazine, I understand their, initial intimidation or less positive, emotions towards Yelp. But I definitely try and show them that there's a two-way platform here. Like, you're able to respond to reviews privately or publicly as a business owner. You're able to add pictures. It's definitely, there are a free suite of tools that I really think that small business owners can really benefit from. And I think getting ahead of the game, really manning your online storefront is better. I let them know, like, if it's not Yelp, there are going to be other review platforms. We're definitely one that helps the business owner, and I want to be that person that shows them that.
And it's free, and you help them, right? I mean, you're offering them a way to respond constructively because people are always going to have opinions.
Absolutely.
And it benefits them to be involved and be open to it, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I definitely, I know that marketing dollars are tight for a lot of these small businesses. I worked for some of these small businesses, and I get that. And I like to tell nonprofits, open a Yelp profile, because you're able to, have people, write reviews about you as well. And you can put up pictures about your fundraising event and stuff like that. So I definitely want them to see it's not a scary site and mobile app. It's definitely something that can be utilized.
There's a restaurant in town. I can't remember if it's Yelp or if it was the other big one that's like it, Urban Spoon, that has some similarities. But I noticed they had. I went on there. I always look at these things, and they had like 150 reviews that were all posted the first week they opened, and the users were all single name users, John, Mary, like that, and you can click on and get maybe it was Urban Spoons, maybe Yelp does this too, but you can click on and get how many reviews they post, how many total reviews they post, and they're all one review, and they're all 5 stars, and they're all stuff like over the top. Like, is there a way I know it's supposed to be open and democratic, but when something's that obvious where people are just shilling like crazy, is there a way to rein that in? Does Yelp try to make any kind of attempt to do that? Is there like a way where the automated program like flags things like that and says what's going on here?
That's another thing that the recommendation software does do. It tries to kind of, filter through with the rants and raves. So if something's just like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever, or like, this is the most horrible thing ever, they do try to figure out, we want personal consumer experiences on there.
So what would you do in that case? Like, if you discovered all of a sudden somebody posted 150 reviews.
If I saw something like that, I would definitely,
do you contact the restaurant? I mean, is there a way to shut it down or to?
We don't, we try and err on the side of the user.
Right.
And also consider this. Whenever I get a phone call from a restaurant that, lets me know, like, there's this horrible review on my site and this person's crazy. And I'm like, okay, all right. Well, think about this. Like, the average Yelp user is college educated, and they're making somewhere between $65,000 to $100,000. So they're not stupid people, and they're going in the site to look at something. So you're going to go on, read a movie review or something. And if someone's like, this is great, or this is, horrible, you're like, well, I kind of need a little bit more to like sway my opinion and figure that out. These people aren't going to just look at those reviews. Like, they're really going to look through it. I get a lot of like, how do I change my star rating? Like, this person wrote a great review, but they gave me bad stars. It's like, people are smart enough that they're going to read through them, so I try and let people know about that.
Well, it looks like it's time for our plus one.
Yay.
Pause that for that line of reasoning for just a second and tell us who this is and why you brought him.
So this is Johnny Culpepper. He is the...
How are you?
Hello.
I believe he is the VP of Sales at Donner Pelletier.
That's right.
Oh, that's right. I brought Johnny on today, even though he's feeling a little under the weather, because Johnny's actually been there since pretty much the start of my career in New Orleans. I did do some nonprofit work, but when I started want to get more towards marketing and events, he was one of the first people that was my mentor at Old New Orleans Rum, actually, in 2008.
Okay.
And then he also referred me. He was the reason I got a job with Living Social for a while.
Two for two.
Which was really fun. And then was also the one that posted on my Facebook wall about the job at Yelp and said that it would be perfect for me.
So are you guys like dating, or are you just like,
No.
are you just like her volunteer
I love his
career
wife
counselor?
and children.
Okay. You're
They're
just
awesome.
obsessed with helping her career?
Well,
amazing.
that's a great question.
You got her
So
3 jobs? Is that what I just heard her say?
Basically.
Possibly. So
Wow.
I'm a little bit older, and I've had a.
And she's like
nice-
22 years old.
That's
too.
right.
She probably
So
only had like
If
3
I can
only.
be her
jobs.
father.
Thank you.
But no, over the course of about 20 or so years working in different type of industries, mostly in sales and sales management, you meet people that that you don't mind going out on a limb for or recommending them for a job. There's only been 2 people in my career that I've done that with, and Morgan's been one of them, because when you recommend
Joe
someone,
Biden. Who's the other one?
when you recommend that person to a job, your word is on the line too, and Morgan's been She's the most professional person that I've been around. Holds true to her word and things that she says and does, and follow-ups. And always, when we worked originally at New Orleans Rum together, which was a very small staff and $0 in budget, she was probably one of the most creative persons I've ever been around as well, if that makes sense. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
she could create she could create a budget out of nothing. So anyway, I've been fortunate enough again to recommend her for a couple of jobs, and of course that a recommendation is great, but you still have to go in and earn the job too. So she's done that on her own as well. So yeah, that's my connection with Morgan.
Well, I think your illness, it gives you a great radio voice. I don't know how deep it is normally, but it's raspy, and so it's working well for you.
Maybe you all can have me on more.
So, Johnny, can you tell me a little bit more about what you do currently?
Sure. So I am working, as Morgan said, I'm the Vice President of Sales and Sales Operation for a distillery. We make booze in Thibodaux, Louisiana. I live here in New Orleans. I've lived here since March of 2000, but took over the position April of last year, so a little over a year, and about a year and 5 months now, and it's been fun. We're owned by a pediatrician and a neurosurgeon.
Nice.
Our staff, yes.
The distillery was started by a pediatrician and a neurosurgeon?
That's correct.
In Thibodaux?
Yes. That makes perfect sense.
On a vacation in St. Croix. Actually, it was a triathlon one of the owners was competing in, and they were drinking rum at the beach. And they said, what are we going to do when we're done being doctors? And so they started kicking around the idea of since they lived in sugarcane fields, or Thibodaux is surrounded by sugarcane fields, why not distill some rum? So Tom Donner that's one half of the Donner Pelche. He's the neurosurgeon. When he gets his mind set around something, it's kind of he's full 100% behind it. So they spent 3 years researching rum production, distilling rum, and they traveled not only in the United States but to some distilleries throughout the world to see what distillery owners loved and what they didn't like or love about the industry. Talked to different distillers, sales, tasted obviously a lot of different
But
products.
they hadn't been in this business before.
Not at
this.
all, no.
They just liked rum. They were in the
Wait,
Caribbean. They cared about public health. So
Right.
What's the name of the rum? I'm sorry.
So great. So underneath the Donner Pelche distiller umbrella, we have 6 products. We have 3 rums, all under the Rougaroux Rum name. So there's an overproof rum called Sugarshine, a Rougaroux Full Moon, which is our dark rum, and then we have our praline rum called 13 Pennies. And do you all know what the Rougaroux is?
No.
So it's like the Cajun boogeyman werewolf, and so
the loup-garou.
Yeah. So kind of where you grew up, it depends on how you were taught or what name it was given, and so the rums tell a story. So if you come in contact with the Rougaroux, you get a spell put on you for 101 days. So our overproof rum is overproof to 101 proof, and that's called the Sugarshine. The Rougaroux only comes out during the full moon, and so our dark rum is called Rougaroux Full Moon. And then the end of the story, it ties all together. Our praline rum is 13 pennies. And to ward off the Rougaroux, you could put 13 pennies in front of your door or your windowsill. And once the Rougaroux, he could only count to 12. When he got to 13, he got confused and he ran away. So you warded the Rougaroux.
What a really dumb
I know.
bad guy.
Right.
Like, you're scared of something that can only count to 12?
12, right.
I love it.
Wow. And he's had hundreds of years to learn 13.
That's
Otherwise,
right.
he keeps being
Well,
vanquished.
13 is kind of a lucky number. In that
Right.
case.
I mean, so I guess,
Wow.
right.
I could not love Louisiana more than I do at this moment.
Exactly.
It's so
love that.
terrific.
And so what's different about us is that because we have a lot of cool rum distilleries in the state of Louisiana, but we went beyond rum, and we have Louisiana's first vodka called Oriza Vodka, and it's made from Louisiana long grain rice. Oriza is Latin for rice, so that's where the name comes from.
Nice.
And then we went ahead and we decided to make a gin called Oriza Gin, so we use the base spirit of the vodka, and we add Louisiana-grown satsumas and cantaloupe, so it's very citrus-based gin. And then our last product that's gotten a lot of press and kind of buzz around us is Louisiana's first aged whiskey since Prohibition, called LA1 whiskey. It's only available at the distillery. We do it in very small batches, and it's been fun. So.
Why the hell didn't you bring us any of this?
I
What do you
knew
think?
that was
Come on!
I gotta get an invite back. I gotta get an invite back. So
Yeah,
next
there
time,
you go. This could cure your cold, probably too.
yeah.
And
So
this
a
is why it's in sales.
Yeah.
Yes. Keep us wanting more.
Yeah. So anyway,
So
it's
where's
been
this
fun.
available in the city of New Orleans, for example?
So Rouse, retail-wise, Rouse's, Dorniak's, Martin's, Elio's, anywhere, basically anyone shops, except for Winn-Dixie. They've been a little bit slow
Of
to get
course.
behind our product. But
Big
That
national.
Sam's,
World Market, too.
Costco, World Market, yeah.
Nice.
And then on the bar side of things, places like Sazerac Bar, Carousel,
Right.
at the Monteleone Cure, the Boulony Tavern,
All great places.
Rum House, obviously.
Yeah.
So any place that you all and your audience is probably going out to, you can find maybe not all 5 or 6 of our products, but either our rums or our vodka and gin. So it's been fun. We have a nice portfolio that different bars and restaurants can choose from depending on what their clientele drink.
All right.
Wow.
Did
what
I
a-
mention he's good at his job too?
Yes. Wow.
Well, we have come to the point in the show where we ask y'all a question. It's called Off the Menu.
Okay?
And it is not a question that you would typically get on a job interview. On your 3 job interviews, I'm sure you've never had anything like this.
You'd be
But
surprised.
My hands are sweating now.
I know.
Uh-oh.
so, do you want to ask
Yeah.
Morgan her question first? And then
Okay,
I'll,
Morgan, let me see. Okay, so if this home cooking thing really worked out and there was no more need for Yelp because all the restaurants shut down, what would you be doing with yourself? What would be your career?
I was
What would
just
you like
gonna
to
say
do?
I'd start raiding my friends' kitchens then. Basically, be
Well,
like,
how about for a career though? What kind of job would you be doing if you
for
weren't
a
doing
career,
this
I'd really like. So,
or anything in the food industry? You
are
could do
y'all
anything in the food
familiar
industry.
with Good Eggs?
No, can't be in the food industry. Oh, well, that is though. You got
dang
around it. She did an end run. Yeah, right. Because that is home stuff. Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's
yeah, no, we had them on
Let's
here.
say computers were destroyed. So
Aw,
it could be
dang.
nothing with computers.
Yeah.
Then the farmers market. I'm really like.
She's
I know
gonna bring it
that's
back to
bad.
that.
I just like.
That's
I
great.
really.
We love them too.
I'm very much into like the whole local coming back sort of thing. People. I do like people cooking at home. I cook a lot
Yeah,
at
right.
home. Not the best cook, but but I think buying local and the farmers coming back. I've worked with Rocking Our Dairy before, like, and the local liquors and everything like that. I just adore that, and that bringing it back home. I love that. So I'd probably work for the farmers market.
Awesome. All right.
I cheat.
Okay.
That's good. That's good.
All right. Well, Johnny, if you were assigned to a hut in Antarctica for 2 years and you had all the food and rum you needed for 2 years, and you were required to bring one other person with you,
Not your wife. or
not your
kids.
wife, not your family, no one in your family, or Morgan, because we know you respect Morgan. Who would you be willing to live with for 2 years in Antarctica?
Tommy Suter.
Oh, man. Can I give 2 answers? Or
Yes.
No? All right, so okay, no family, though?
No,
No.
family.
No relative.
It'd totally be Tommy Suter.
Well, I would take my. No, I was gonna say I would want my dog back, who passed away a couple years ago.
It's family.
And I would, I guess, and I'd bring him. But I don't want to get everybody sad. I would probably take probably my best friend on this earth with me, John Doherty, who is a lifelong friend from Galveston, Texas. We've been through a lot of stuff together, and he's a smart character, good conversation, a psychology major, practices psychology now, so I'm sure the conversation with 2 years over booze and good food would be very, very good and some fun times. So, yeah, John Doherty.
Excellent.
All right.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
Huh. How would you least like to have in that? Say it's like Sartre, and it's like you're stuck in a room with somebody for eternity, but it's just 2 years.
I'm going to get myself in
And it
trouble.
has to be a family member.
I love
My
you.
mom.
I love you, Mom.
Oh Lord.
All right. No, you don't have to answer that. Okay.
Did you?
Yeah.
Do you feel the need to ask us something and put us on the spot?
I
You
would
look
love
like you're,
to.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask Margot and
Yes.
ask you.
Good.
Margot,
yes.
if you had to eat one dish from one restaurant for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Jeez. Wow.
I got an answer.
Okay, now I realize how difficult this is, and I'm
Right?
going to have a little
Yeah.
bit of compassion, but not really for our guests. I probably would have to say Aji mackerel from Shogun.
Wow. Didn't see that coming. All right.
I like it. I'm gonna have to bookmark
Sweet.
that.
It's good to know.
Okay. What about you, Ray? If you could only eat one thing out
The
of
Brussels
your
sprouts at
thousands of-
Langenstein's. I just eat them over and
That's
over and over
really
again.
good.
The
Are you
braised Brussels
serious?
sprouts. I love them
Oh,
so much.
We can't
You've
be friends.
I love them
eaten at
so
s-
much.
I hate
I like
Brussels
this guy.
sprouts.
I love them so much.
I like this guy.
I've eaten at every restaurant in the city pretty much, and that's my favorite thing, though, I think. I'd love the Brussels sprouts at Langenstein's.
Have you had the Brussels
so
sprouts at Cochin? I think they do.
Yeah, they're famous for that, too. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're great. Yeah,
I've
of
never
course.
had 'em at Cochin.
Obviously, there's 1,000 billion dishes better than the Brussels sprouts at Langenstein's, but I just
That's
wanted
your
to say
go-to
the Brussels
dish.
sprouts at
Okay.
Langenstein's.
Well, I'd eat their
Is that-
betta cheddar because I love
Their
it.
betta
Nice.
cheddar.
So
Oh.
good.
That's good.
What's
Their-
And
Here's
what
the
about
thing I
their
like about though.
crawfish
It's
bisque, their
local,
frozen
it's
crawfish bisque
nutritious,
at
it's cheap,
Langenstein's?
What about
and
their
I
Popeyes?
get gassy and,
dip?
and it
Oh.
annoys my kids.
Can't go to a party.
Without
If
the
you would have
Popeyes dip.
asked, if you were
Nobody
to
heard that, but Grant.
only allowed to bring one thing to a party for the rest of your life, it would be the Popeye dip. From
Mine would be
Langenstein's.
betta
At
cheddar.
Langenstein.
Wow.
Betta
Yeah.
cheddar is best with
Langenstein's.
I'm
friends.
sorry.
Do I say no? I thought you were correcting me.
No,
'cause you-
no.
No,
Is
that's
it-
probably right.
Now, is this
By the way,
Langenstein's
Langenstein
or
owned my house, by the
Langenstein's?
way, too. Did you know that?
I
I'll
think
tell you that story
So
another
you
time.
should
Off
know
the air,
the
I'll tell you the
names.
story. No, because it's scandalous, actually. She, at 60 years old, she divorced her husband of 30 years
6
and married
years old?
his
She was
uncle.
married at
60 years
Oh, I
old.
thought you said
She
6.
divorced her husband of 30 years and married his uncle, who was 80.
That happens.
And I've asked every Langenstein,
Ah.
none of them will tell me the story. They all
She
claim they
went
don't
up.
know it. There's no way they don't know it. This had to
Come
be
on,
big
I thought you were
family
going to
news.
say she was gay and married the grandmother or something exciting
That
like
would be
that.
even
I mean,
more
come on.
interesting. Yeah,
That's
but okay.
scandalous.
Anyway, that's enough of that, though.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. That's the longest off the menu we've ever done. There's no more time left for the show now. Do we have any time left? Okay. Oh, gosh, now it got me all rattled. Okay, I wanted to ask you about being a 6'10 Stomper split. Yeah, right. Carla is one of my favorite people on the
Oh,
planet.
my
She like the
Carla.
head split.
She
Wait,
definitely.
you got to tell people what a split is because it's a
So-
little different than a.
So a split, if you're not familiar with the 610 Stompers, go to 610stompers.com. But if you want to know what a 610 split is, we are the women that protect the 610 Stompers from the women that want them and the men that want to be them.
That's it.
So basically, we are security at the parades. We are the ones on the committee doing all the work for the ball crawl and the debutante ball. I know someone's going to get me for that. And we're definitely there volunteering at a lot of the events. So we're really active with them, but we're behind the scenes. So.
610
Did
Stompers in the Macy's Day Parade, which is
Did
the
you
most
get to
boring
do
parade
that?
in America, and they
I
were the
know.
most interesting
Didn't
thing
they?
that's ever happened
So
at Macy's Day
I
Parade.
heard stories about like
Roker
they were
couldn't
looking around like
Believe it.
nobody
Yeah,
was
they didn't know what to
clapping.
say
The
about it.
crowd like
Crowd didn't get it
the
at all.
610 Stompers really feed
They
off
used
the
to
crowd.
like, where's the
and
Disney ad?
they didn't get
You
it.
know?
They didn't get it at all. So,
Yeah. Is this
but
a new Broadway show?
I
You know,
was
yeah.
watching
They're the
it
second
in the
best male
north
dance group in America.
with my northern in-laws, and I never watched
the
the
Jailhouse
Macy's Day
Rockers.
Parade, but I made a point to watch it because I knew the 610 Stompers were going to be in it, and it was so much fun to watch it with these Northerners. And this family got it; they
Cool.
really appreciated it. So it was a
good.
fun.
They're great
but-
ambassadors for a city. That was terrific.
Wait, did I space out? Did you say that splits too, like keep the crowds back and
Yeah,
like
they were all
from-
like
from
100
those
pounds,
hot,
and the 610 Stompers are all like
So,
350.
Yeah,
But
I'm like the worst
but they
at
do
it.
security.
I
yeah.
just kind of have long arms and
Right.
stretch them
Do
out.
they have fans like trying to? get
Yes,
closer?
I have
Oh,
to
yeah.
say like sexy but deadly. Like I have to hold back, and sometimes I have to get like one of the bigger girls that like are stronger than me to like hold people back. I had someone's uncle's brother's uncle jump out and try and take a picture, and I like tried to push him out and he pushed me back, and so sometimes it gets a little rowdy. I would say they're doing Knicks now, but at one of the Muses parades I was like, I'm over it, I'm done, I don't want to do this anymore because it gets pretty rowdy. So
Wow. Do you know Fun Size?
I know
he's a
them
brand new
all.
guy.
I
Yeah.
love them all.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's parishioner of ours. He was going out for the 6 cent stompers, and I tried to discourage him because I know you only let in like the first 100 to even try.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's new to town. He's like very confident, and he's like, I got in. I was like, well, all right.
Yeah.
Johnny, do you partake in any of festivities like that?
I'm not a stomper, but I go to every event I can. Mardi Gras, Jazz Fest, you name it, I'm there. So
You kind of look like a rolling
I
Elvi.
was a rolling Elvi, yeah.
You were a rolling Elvi?
For a few years, but then
I'm a rolling Elvi now.
we
got a rolling Elvi tattoo.
That's great. So we
It's on the back of my phone.
it's been a couple of years since I've been with you all.
We must have missed each other probably.
Probably, yeah.
I've only been in
so
a few
you know,
years.
you probably know mutual friends, Mickey
Yeah.
Hanning and
Yeah, right. Mickey
all the,
started the running the Bulls that we were
New
just
Orleans.
So
last
do
week.
all you rolling Elvi guys kind of have that look? I mean, no offense. I'm not. You're very handsome.
You called that. Wait,
you
mean
do,
no
you-
offense. What the hell does that mean?
They're gonna leave
I was
holding
gonna
hands in a
target.
second.
I'm like targeting him because he kind of has this 50s suave look. He's
trying to
like
make it better, aren't you?
So I was asking if like
She's gonna push
once
your
an
number across the
Elvi,
table.
always an Elvi. I mean, he's
Right.
like bonkers, obviously, with the tattoos and stuff. Do you have any hidden tattoos?
I don't.
Or,
I wish I did.
did you always look like a suave?
No,
50s
I changed
guy?
my hairstyle up a few months ago. So no, I kind of keep it changed every couple of years. I'll
All right.
go long, short.
Yeah,
Did we ask you if you grew up here? No.
You did not.
Where did you grow up, Johnny?
My dad was a college football coach and then a Texas high school football coach. So I lived in 8 different towns.
So that's when you met your best friend in Galveston. You were there at some point. Yeah.
And then I met my wife on Bourbon Street at 3 in the morning at Chris Owens during Mardi Gras, and she was living in New York City, and I was living in Galveston, Texas, and then I ended up moving to New York City for a few years, and then we moved down here together in, again, March of 2000. So
Wow.
She's
yeah.
the girl version of him. She's crazy, and I love her. She's real sweet, like has a little accent, but like crazy. Love her.
Nice.
Sweet. So Chris Owens was your uniter, and she probably looks exactly the same as when y'all met.
So we,
She's
yeah.
preserved.
we've been,
Before
we've
Grant
been into
was
their
born,
house,
she looked like that.
Chris's house before for several Mardi Gras, hung
Right.
out with them. Amazing woman.
She's 145
did you get to
years
know
old.
her
You know, it's
through
been
work,
documented.
or did you
No,
just like tell her
when we
we
moved
met?
down, probably that first or second year during Fat Tuesday, we were in, Chris Owens and her boyfriend came out, and there was no one else in the club, and we were having a beer, and he came up, and we were talking to him, and he told them the story, and he's like, well, you got to come back and meet Chris. And so all these like local Louisiana, New Orleans celebrities were there, like Kermit Ruffins and a lot of the news people. But she has performed with like Bob Hope or for Bob Hope, Johnny
Yeah.
Carson.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
when she was back,
She was in a silent movie back in the 20s.
Yeah,
No, I made that up.
I
No,
think
no.
that's a little late. But anyway, they've been very nice. But when you're in their house, you feel like you're in an episode of like Miami Vice. I say that in a good way. It's like
Yeah.
a lot of black and gold and
He's got a mullet.
white marble.
I
and
saw them at
He
Whole
did,
Foods
he,
in Metairie.
he's kind of
Nice.
he always
Okay.
he wears like a 50s
Yes.
jacket and
But
And
and
those, like,
very,
Zoom
very
pants
sweet.
or something.
Sweet person. Like both of them are very,
Yeah.
very nice. And we every Mardi Gras they invite us in. And we hang out with
That's
them.
Well, we
awesome.
were in the first time we were at the Easter parade. We were in their Easter parade, and that was the funnest thing ever. I'd never been to Chris Owens' Easter parade, and that's
crazy.
I'm going every year now.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, we go every
And
year.
you're also a siren too, right? So you do some dancing yourself.
I had no idea.
You knew she was a siren?
You wouldn't have recommended her if you knew she was a siren.
They're awesome. I love the
I
sirens.
really like mermaids. I mean, my hair's not naturally red by any means. But I was like, I really want to try out for this group. And I knew a few of the girls. And earlier this year, I tried out. And like about 24 hours later, they called and they were like, you're a siren. So I can't say I'm the best at an 8 count. Like my boyfriend's a stomper and he's phenomenal at an 8 count. And I'm still struggling with it because they're really great dancers. But you'll see me on the parade route.
All
So.
right.
So, have you gotten his wife or your to join you in any of those?
Actually, before I was a siren, I was a bearded oyster
Oh,
with
wow, yeah,
Lacey.
right,
So
right.
we
Your
did
wife,
that for a couple
Lacey,
of
is a
years.
bearded oyster.
Oh, okay.
We did that for a few years, decorated merkins and oysters together. So that was very fun. It was a ruckus group of people. So
Well, I want to get back to a little bit more about Yelp.
For sure.
Because we could go down a path. We could get into your bedroom and talk, all kinds of crazy stuff.
Join
so,
me.
but let's bring it back to. Did I make you blush
it's
yet?
It's a studio apartment.
Yes.
It's all my bedroom.
Twice. I'm trying to make Ray a little nervous.
Nice.
I haven't done that in a long time on the show. So, okay. So, I was reading like the guidelines on the Yelp site, and I was really impressed with. It was very informative and kind of written like casually, but interesting and a great sense of humor. And I don't know, I'm sure they're very careful what they put, but I thought it was really well written and answered a lot of the questions that I had. Can you tell me a little bit about who started Yelp and what their original vision was for the
So it was actually started by Russell Simmons, no, not the one from Run DMC, and Jeremy Stomping. And they started 10 years ago, and Jeremy had been looking for a doctor, I believe, in San Francisco, and kind of was like, I think it'd be great if there was some sort of, online site or something that could help me find this, without having to ask, 20 of my friends. So 10 years later, we have this site now with 132 million monthly unique visitors and 57 million reviews worldwide. So when I tell people it was 10 years, they kind of look at me like, what? Like, that's crazy. But Yelp wasn't really in your face kind of. Facebook, everyone's been on it for a while. Like, I can even say, like, thank God my freshman year pictures on there. Like, it started my sophomore year. I think I even got an email back from the founder. I asked him like 10 questions when I was writing a story for a class for journalism. But
for Facebook?
Yeah, back when I was a sophomore, I sent.
And he wrote you back?
He wrote me back, but I can't
Wait,
find the email.
You have a Zuckerberg email somewhere?
I can't find it, which just I got an email back from like someone like
Mark Zuckerberg
so you were
email or
that's
ghostwritten
amazing.
by his secretary.
Were you a journalism major or something?
I was a journalism major, so I got a little jaded by where journalism has kind of gone. I love features. I love learning about people. I'm not too keen on where news is going these days. It's a little salacious. So instead of, going in that direction and having to, kind of put some of the things I hold dear, to the side, I really like marketing because I really like finding out about people and kind of being able to find ways to promote that. So, but Jeremy Stomping, the founder, I went up to San Francisco and he was in the elevator with me. And one of the other guys, that's one of the founders, I can't remember his name right now, was like, I really like your purple hair, when it was purple at the time. And he thanked, it was Mardi Gras and we had to be up there for a regional week. And he's like, so what are they doing? What would you be doing in New Orleans right now? I was like, I'd be drinking. It might have been 10 a.m. in the morning too. So that was a little embarrassing, but they're very approachable people and they're just very much wanting the site to continue to grow. So it's not just about restaurants. You can go on there and get information about any business. One of the myths is that it's just a restaurant review site, which actually restaurants only make up 20% of the reviews and shopping makes up 23% of the reviews. And the rest is, you can find stuff about plumbers and people that fix your ACs, which is great this time of year. You can find about amazing. People review festivals and parades. So it's really helpful for both people living here, people moving here, and people visiting here. So, wow. I mean, I'm not.
So if you love New Orleans and you want the world to know about your favorite local businesses, a good thing to do to help promote it and to get the word out is to go on Yelp and write a review about it. Post some pictures. Yeah.
And that's what I tell people. I'm like, you don't have to go on Yelp to like, talk about something you don't like. There's a ton of great restaurants that we love to promote here. And so go on there and tell people about your favorite dishes at, Crêpe Nanu or Bacchanal or any of those restaurants. Those might be two of my favorites. But you can go on there and say good things. So,
Johnny, what are some of your favorite restaurants in New Orleans? You have a top 5 or 10?
Sure. Coquette.
Yeah.
Lillette.
Yeah.
Commanders.
All right.
Sobu
Okay.
and Marisa.
Love Marisa. Let's all go together.
Yes. Let's continue. How
I
late
like
are
that
they
list.
open?
That's
Are they
good.
open on Monday?
No, I don't think so. I don't know.
It
I
is
should
midnight
check my
after
Yelp
all.
app. It is midnight though.
Well, y'all, unfortunately, we've come to the end
Come
of our
on.
show. I know. We're going to have them back, and not just for the booze.
That's right.
But we are very honored to have both of y'all here joining us tonight, because your job does not stop.
No.
I'm sure it's 24 hours, so your time is
Yeah.
very precious. So we appreciate you, Morgan, joining us. And Johnny, we really happy to have you on and get to know you a little bit. And but before we go, I would like, Johnny, will you just give a website or some contact information if someone wants to go to the
it's very
distillery?
easy. DPDspirits.com. That's our website. So D as in dog, P as in Paul, D as in dog, and then spirits with an S.com. And you can find everything you need by going to that website, or again, you can search Google or whatever search engine you use, Rougaroux or Ariza or Donner Pelche Distillers.
Great.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, our special guest tonight on Midnight Menu Plus One was Morgan Ford of Yelp, and her plus one was Johnny Culpepper of Donner Pelche.
That's right.
You can follow more information about them by going to links that we'll post on our itsneworleans.com website. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Thank
all.
you. And we also want to thank Petite Pet Care for loving care when you're not there. PetitePetCare.com for sponsoring our show.
And thanks also to Monkey Hill Bar on Magazine Street. At Monkey Hill, you can enjoy a 5-hour happy hour every weekday from 3 to 8 p.m. And every Tuesday is Taco Tuesday. Coronas, margaritas, and sangria specials plus $2 tacos.
Well, that's it for tonight's show. See you next time on Midnight Menu Plus One. Till then, I'm Margot Moss.
And I'm Ray Canada.
Good night.
Good night. Midnight Menu Plus One is produced by Margot Moss, Grant Morris, and me, Ray Canada. Our technical director is Chris Keogh.
You can find photos from tonight's show on our website, itsneworleans.com. On itsneworleans.com, you can also check out our blog. You can listen to lots more episodes of Midnight Menu Plus One and our other shows, including Out to Lunch, Happy Hour, True to the Game, and Mindset.
You can hook up with me and Margot anytime by following Midnight Menu Plus One on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And you can also Google Midnight Menu Plus One, and we come right up.
The fabulous audio quality of this show is brought to us by PreSonus Audio. For more information about PreSonus recording equipment, go to presonus.com.
Midnight Menu Plus One is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com. For all of us here at Midnight Menu Plus One, thanks for joining us. I'm Ray Canada.
And I'm Margot Moss. We look forward to seeing you back here next week on Midnight Menu Plus One.
You know Labor Day signals the unofficial end of summer, but not the end of your outdoor projects. Lowe's helps you do it right and helps you save with Labor Day deals throughout the store. Shop now and get 2 bags of Stay Green potty mix for $12. And keep your lawn looking neat and trim with a Craftsman 2-cycle 17-inch gas string trimmer, now $20 off at just $119. Whatever's still on your to-do list this Labor Day, do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Offers valid through 8/28. Soil offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii. U.S. only.